Hey Rob, how you doing, dude?
Doing great, Dan. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm over in Texas at Justin Dyson's house. We're just getting ready before our Titan Mastermind event next week, which you and I are going to be at together
Yeah.
over in Austin. So I'm looking forward to that. And earlier this week, we were chatting. We were kind of having a conversation around that event, and we were talking about kind of where everything's at right now in the world with inflation and what that's doing to sellers on their bottom line and ways in which that we can help sellers kind of focus on areas of optimization to increase that bottom line. So you said, well, why don't we jump on and talk about this? It's a great topic to get sellers thinking about, especially for our Titan members. It's great for members to start thinking about this ahead of next week as we get into our workshop sessions and start working on some of this stuff. And here we are today on this live talking about inflation and the time for sellers to keep an eye on the bottom line. So, Rob, how are things over at Gatida? How are you? How are you getting on?
Things are amazing. Absolutely amazing. Gatita's growing like crazy. Obviously, we're already the global leader, but we're just expanding more and more, taking on UK this coming up year, along with a lot of other great projects. But that's not what people are here to hear. I want to help people out. I'm Rob the Money Man Stanley. If you haven't met me yet, then I don't know. You probably haven't been to a trade show yet, which is fine. Everybody at Titan, when you're coming next week, yes, the Money Man will be there. The Cowboy Money Man will be there. More than happy. Just give you a quick background on myself. I'm going to make this really quick. 20 years I sold online, exited in 2018 twice, have a YouTube certification. So I know a lot about YouTube and SEO and probably every aspect. Been in 100 factories in China, probably more than 100. But let's talk about really the bottom line and how people can benefit from what we're talking about today. Me and Yoni, we usually give this really cool example. So a lot of times, and we're going to kind of start at the factory level, right? You've already negotiated your product. You already figured out what product you're going to be sending. Let's start talking about how breakable or non-breakable is that product. Because what we're going to start doing is there's kind of like inner casing and then there's kind of master cartons, right? So, and there's so many you can fit within a box. But a lot of times what happens is they'll over pad some of the products, your factory. Now, this is where you want to work with your factory. So we're going to talk about that a little bit first. So just to give you a quick example, and this isn't quite related to that yet, but we'll get there on why, is you don't want to ship a soccer ball, for instance, full of air. Right. That's just going to take up a lot of cubic space. It's going to be too much space. You're going to get less of them in a 40-foot container. So that's something you may want to actually, have them inflate when they get to them. In fact, actually, what you may be able to do is the cost savings you're going to get by not inflating that might allow you to even throw in a little mini pump that they could pump it up when they get it. Now, why am I saying that? Let's stick with the soccer ball for a minute here. Follow me. We're at the soccer ball factory, or we're talking to our soccer ball factory. Okay. It's a non-breakable item. So really, how thick of cardboard do they need on that inner packaging? It should be, or technically, I'm even thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, probably it should be like a bag, right? Like a small bag of some sort so you can
Yeah,
fit more in them.
yeah, for sure. So, I mean, when we talk about this and we talk about cost optimization, I think it's about kind of really starting and understanding how the product's made, the materials used, and then what the minimum requirement is to effectively deliver that product within the experience of your brand. Obviously, packaging
Absolutely.
goes a long way to kind of creating the brand experience, and that shows up in your reviews and your returning customers and effectively conversion. But yeah, not over packaging and really looking down to what the packaging costs that you're using are, what the material type is, and really looking for efficiency. So in your soccer ball example,
Yep.
Money Man Rob, I love this. In your soccer ball example, really looking to say, hey, do I need to be putting it within this more expensive, thicker cardboard packaging, or is there a way of delivering the same experience to my target audience, my customer, with a much more cost-effective way of packaging that product that still delivers it safely without damage and delivers that experience within the brand. So yeah, I think a bag in your example would be more than appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. And so stick with us. What we're trying to do is help you save money. That's the goal of this, right? Saving money is making money. That's the way I always see it. When inflation's high like this and cost is high, yeah, could you try to raise your price and make a little more money? Absolutely. But the other way to do that is start looking at your saving money, right? Where can you save money? That's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So let's keep
Mm.
that scenario going because this will have a domino effect, what we're talking about right now at that factory. So being able to get that in a bag, okay, will allow you to fit more into a master carton. Okay. Also, depending on your product, look at how thick the cardboard is. Is it a breakable product? Then you might need a thicker cardboard. Maybe it's a half inch, maybe it's 3/4 inch. I know that's probably a little large, but start looking at those different things, because that also will start affecting down the line some of your cost, especially when it gets to FBA. So let's stick with the example that we got, right? We got a bunch of soccer balls. We have them in these master cartons. We're filling up a 40-foot container. Good news, Dan, 40-foot containers are going down. Yay.
Yeah.
As of this live event that we're doing right this moment, but that could obviously change. But hey, that's great stuff. Now let's get that in there. You get more of those into a 40-foot container. So now what's happened is maybe you're able to order more soccer balls, which possibly brought you to a different price point. Maybe you went over a certain price point with the factory because you've talked to them ahead of time and said, how many of these in a bag will fit in a 40-foot container prior to you ordering? So you maybe hit another price point that got you a little bit lower price. You give them in this 40-foot container, kind of I'm not going to say a fixed price, but there's going to be a price for that 40-foot container, whatever the industry is right now. Now, let's fast forward. It gets into port. You get them over to the FBA warehouse. Now, that 40-foot container is going to take up a certain amount of space no matter what. When they get those products out, though, it's still, they're in master cartons, or they're in other cartons or bags. It's taking up space. But if we'd used thicker cardboard or a box, let's say, or the soccer ball had air inflated in it, right? It came already pre-filled. We're less of them, and we're still paying the same amount in the warehouse for taking up that same 40-foot container worth of space, but you're selling less of them. You have less of them going out. They're probably going to charge you on the cubic dimensions of it. So that's going to adjust your price. Now, when it's flat and the air is out of it, even if it has a little miniature pump in it, your cost to ship that item through FBA to the customer is going to be less. Not necessarily your warehouse, your cost per item in the warehouse will be less for storage, okay? Because you are usually taking whatever it costs per month to have all those items in the warehouse divided by the amount of items you have in there. That's how you start breaking down that cost on that. So now it gets to the customer cheaper. It costs you cheaper for the FBA fees to have it in the warehouse. So that's what I was kind of trying to say, Dan, about the sort of domino effect starting back in that warehouse.
I think it's a really good point, Rob. And I've actually just brought up, I'm going to go ahead and actually share my screen here, if it will let me get to it. And Rob, on screen, you should be able to see something that says the Amazon Seller's Guide to Increasing Profit. This is something that Andrew Erickson, who is incredibly detail orientated in every aspect of costing through supply chain, even onto platform and into marketing. And this is a guide that Andrew put together earlier this year, actually, for some of our members. And as we were just having this conversation, I thought about this. And what I'll go ahead and do, guys, if you comment below, wherever you're seeing this video, if you comment below, I'll go ahead and get you a link to this guide, and you can have this guide here after this live. But we effectively look at this in terms of breaking down every cost base within the business and understanding how can I optimize that cost. So it starts, as Rob's been talking here, with knowing your costs. And in a world where costs are increasing, inflation's through the roof, the economy is taking a turn, shopping demand and consumer demand is up and down depending on the category. As a business owner operating in this environment and with the headwinds that are coming, knowing costs and optimizing that bottom line is absolutely critical to long-term sustainability and ability to continue operating. We can't, whereas in kind of fruitful times, whilst costs are always important and optimizing profit is important, in those times it's all very much on kind of top line, let's go. Really dialing this in today's world where materials are more expensive out of China, inflation's going up all over the place. This is where you really make the difference on your bottom line. So we've got here, know your costs, quote matching, production, understanding order volume, looking at your packaging. Rob just touched on that quite heavily there. Understanding the size tiers and understanding if you can optimize the size of your products, what that does to your bottom line, because it's cheaper to deal with Amazon FBA and shipping and storage, etc. Understanding the weights within your product, that's sort of first principle thinking on the materials being used. Getting money back from Amazon, a huge one, which everyone knows Rob and Gatita are the best at doing. Reducing tariffs, and then carton packaging. So as we run through this guide, and I'm just going to kind of highlight it, Rob, to kind of really raise some of the major kind of advice points here. And then for anyone that wants this guide, just feel free to comment below and we'll get that to you. We can see coming down, we start asking ourselves, like, do we need to look at our factory costs? So industry standard is 20% our factory cost of price. If you're more than 25%, we need to look at our pricing. If our product is costing us more than 25% of what we're selling it for, then there's areas for optimization. Is your freight percentage high. Industry standard sits between 5 and 10%. If our freight is more than 10%, and obviously it's been higher in recent in the last 12 months, but it's definitely starting to come down a bit. It's looking like it's normalizing. Do we need to be looking at optimizing freight? Can we work with one of our partners like Forescale or others to optimize that? Is our fulfillment percentage, our industry standard is 10 to 20%. If you're more than 25%, we need to look at fulfillment costs and ways of optimizing them. Where's our tacos sitting? So realistically nowadays, especially coming into Q4, 15% is probably about right for sort of the typical categories that our sellers are in. But ultimately, where are your tacos sitting? How are they affecting profit against your margin? If you've got 30% in these products and you're spending 15% on advertising contribution, you've got 15% profit left. Where's that set? Are you bloated in your PPC? Now is the time with Q4 kind of cost per clicks and just overall competitiveness to be pushing on what you know works and saving the tests and the exploration campaigns for cheaper periods where you've got that kind of room to test and spend a bit of money. Whereas now we need to be doubling down on what's working. In our total expense percentages, opposite from profit margin, industry standard is 60 to 75%. If you're more than 80, you're not making any money in the business. Do we need to be optimizing that? At the same time, Rob, we're then looking at our existing factories and going, right, at a time where material costs are at an all-time high, inflation's affecting the bottom line, what can I be doing to produce the same standard, same quality of product cheaper? We recently brought on a new brand. And one of the first things we did, it was actually a brand I acquired. We brought on a brand, and one of the first things we did in the Hero SKU was save 20% in the cost of that, and imminently it needed an order. And what it did in the next sort of 8-week period is add 20% to the forecast of that bottom line just by optimizing the COGS of that one SKU. There was about 5 or 6 SKUs in the brand, and that was the Hero. So not just sitting with the status quo on what's already in place, and going out to market. And if you've been with the same factory for the last 3 years, and I understand the relationship's good, but going out and getting new quotes to see if you can get into a negotiation position to reduce that. Then we're looking at things like production. Rob,
yeah, Dan, I was gonna add one more thing to that. So back when I was selling, one of the products we had, it was we were using the plastic little pellets, right? And we're over at the factory. I know we can't go to factories right now, but we're over at the factory. And one of the things we discovered is the type of product that we were making or producing at that time, it didn't need, like, they were bringing in all these brand new bags of plastic pellets. The type of products we were making didn't need brand new pellets. Like, we could use recycled plastic. And it didn't really matter. For us, the cost actually went down about 20% by using recycled plastic. Now, this scenario may not be right for everybody, but it's just something to think about. Always be thinking about, is there a different type of metal that's still just as good, that maybe is a little cheaper? There's different, by the way, for instance, stainless steel, there's different variations of stainless steel, like quality wise, right? So do you really need the highest grade, or maybe there's a lesser grade that still qualifies, still will be just as good of quality? So think about some of these little things, because some of those little things, like maybe recycled plastic, maybe a different grade of stainless steel or something like that, might still keep your quality just as good, but lower that price on the back end at the factory. Something to think about.
Yeah, 100%. And then also working with your factories, working with your reps and saying, hey, look, we understand where the economy's at right now. We understand where the world's at right now. We need to find some cost saving in our production. Can you put together a proposal of how we can do that, and offer suggestions like ordering more material at a time to keep it at the factory at no charge to you? Can we bulk order packaging? Can you give me the next volume discount if I promise to order more units later? Can I give you an annual estimate for our orders? One thing we do in Titan, Rob, is train members on how to professionally forecast and negotiate COGS. And part of that is forecasting your sales forecast, tying that back to a cash flow forecast, and then showing your partner, your factory, that if they allow you, if they give you a tiered pricing discount, it will allow you to order more because it allows you to do it within your budget, which is a win-win for both of you. And really kind of working with them on that. We look at things like volume. How many more units do you have to order? Volume discount from the factory. Is it worth getting over that tier? And how much more would you need to be shipping if to get a better price per unit on your shipping? In your packaging, as you were talking about, Rob, asking your supplier what other packaging options there are, and less expensive but similar quality. So not compromising the experience or the brand's kind of quality and the positioning and the experience the brand delivers, because that shows up in everything, conversion and reviews and being a real brand. But ultimately, is there an ability to say, use, this is a tip we always give Titan members, 1C packaging? So everyone prints with multiple colors on a packaging, which increases the packaging cost massively. 1C printing is a very smart way of doing it, because you can still design very pretty packaging, very good looking packaging, but it's only using one color and a different grade of that color. And it's a much cheaper way of printing packaging. And then we get into sizing tiers and Amazon itself. Like, we've done this on a few of our kind of older SKUs, our bigger SKUs, bringing them down an entire sizing tier just by, we had one product that previously was folded over. Previously was rolled, and we found a way of folding it into 4 without creasing by adding a little bit of foam into it, and it literally took it down an entire sizing tier. And it was actually a competitive advantage against the competitors who were all in the bigger tier, and that allowed us to save, a few dollars per unit in the FBA fee. So I think sellers, with where we are today, Rob, need to get really kind of analytical, and I think it's Elon Musk, isn't it, that talks about first principle thinking, and really analytical and understanding exactly every single component of the production process, right down to the way in which they're sizing, packaging, and getting enough boxes on a container to find every cost benefit they can on their bottom line.
Absolutely. Dan, one other thing I'm going to kind of mention, and it's not necessarily on this particular sheet, is you got to know what's your burn rate, what's your bottom line, either monthly or possibly weekly. I don't know if daily is probably getting down too much, but you kind of want to know your burn rate. Now, just go over real quick what I mean by burn rate, right? What is your cost? What is your cost every week to run your company? Whether you have VAs, whether it's employees, whether it's overhead of any type, PPC spend, all that stuff. You really want to know that. I actually, when I was running my company, I had it down to a day. I knew that day how many sales I had. Now, remember, I was selling through my website, a little bit of this is a little pre-Amazon, selling through the website. I could look at my sales at the end of the day and knew if we made money or didn't make money that day. Now, that was getting a little too micro. I was getting down a little too much. So I started switching it to like a week, even though I was tracking it daily. I could look at the end of the week. I knew what my burn rate was, how much it was costing me, what was my bottom line. I had a warehouse, had employees, we had inventory, there was stock, there was, you name it, right? But every month, how much I was making every single month based on my burn rate, how much it was costing me every week to run this business. I think that's something you want to also take into consideration and start looking, maybe even, I'm sure there's plenty of things that will do this for you. Probably even Intuit, QuickBooks will make a pie chart for you and start showing you where is that burn rate broken into, right? Into a pie chart. What percentage is going to PPC? What percentage is, maybe your VAs or your people helping you out? Take a look at those things, because that's another area besides everything we just talked about. And that sheet you just mentioned, by the way, everybody who's, I tied in all, so there's plenty of people watching on my channels also, post in those channels also, and I'll be happy to get you that same link that Dan's talking about, because that is a great one. He just shared it with me, and I'm going to be grabbing a hold of that. And I know we're kind of going high level, so any Titan members out there, if you want to follow up with Dan or I next week on this in Austin, Texas, we are more than happy to spend a lot more time going over this and talking in more depth. We're kind of just giving the highlights and the quick areas you can look at, but there's a lot more to this, and that sheet's amazing.
And I think what you just said there, Rob, is really the key. If we step out, I know we've kind of jumped straight into the tactical conversation here of things that sellers can look at immediately within supply chain. I want to keep going on that, but ultimately what this comes back to is just having a professional level of control on the financials of your business. This is something myself in my journey I've had to really learn over the years, to the point now where we are week to week accurate in our management accounts, and we publish monthly management accounts for the previous period, but we have a weekly, we call it a weekly brand review. We have a weekly report that gives me down to a contribution margin level pinpoint accuracy over the prior week's numbers, so I've got complete control over the trending direction of performance. And within Titan, we're also big on daily sales tracking, daily performance tracking. We have a tool in Titan called the Daily Sales Tracker that does this automatically now. But in my opinion, if you're only reviewing your numbers once a month, you're only managing the business's direction 12 times a year. If you're managing them weekly, you're affecting change 52 times a year. And if you've got your finger on the pulse on your daily performance at a SKU level, you're managing and affecting change in that business 365 times a year, for the sake of example. And this is really true, not only just in sales and kind of a contribution or a gross profit margin level performance management, but right down to the net profit line, at least on a monthly basis, understanding, like you said, Rob, where is my OPEX at? Where's my advertising contribution at? How much is going to fixed overhead below that contribution line? And if any of these words that I'm using, people don't understand it. Financial kind of management in this game now is critical to success, not only just in your ability to make the right tactical decisions on which levers to pull on Amazon, but if you want to be profit at the end of the day, if you want to be profitable at the end of the day, you have to have this level of control over your business, and not only control, level of financial understanding. It's crazy to me how many accounts I see and businesses I see in my position in the industry, and just doing due diligence on brands and stuff, where they think they're operating at a profit because Sellerboard or one of these tools kind of says they're at profit. But then when you actually get down into a clean set of numbers that are properly accrual based and got all of the costs baked in, the actual business is operating at a loss. And I think in a world of inflation and costs increasing and margins getting squeezed, price suppression on the category, our direct manufacturers coming in, Amazon advertising increasing, which is squeezing that margin further, financial control and absolute clarity over the numbers is the only way you can succeed. And playing ignorant to that is really setting yourself up to fail. So to what you're saying, Rob, I mean, yes, we can continue to talk about these tactical kind of tactics that sellers can deploy within supply chain and marketing to create more bottom line. But if you don't know what that bottom line is, and you don't have proper accounting, and you're kind of leaving it to the end of the year for a quick, desperate effort to submit books at the end of the year, then you're really not in control of your business at all, and you're not really driving. You're being driven, and I think that's a real key difference there. So, Rob, on that point, one of the big areas, and I was just looking here at my screen, I'm going to share a thing. One of the big areas that you do a fantastic, and you and Yoni and Gatila do a fantastic job for our Titan members at, as well as the industry. I mean, you're the market leader in this. That I don't think many sellers truly understand how it works, is getting money back from Amazon. And I'm looking forward to hearing this as well and really understanding it, because there's a whole bunch of ways that this happens. And Gatida is the market leader at doing this. You guys have got the technology, the experience, the years of operating and navigating Amazon's policies and how to submit the right details and requests to do this. But I'd love for you to go ahead and talk about this, because whilst all the supply chain and the packaging stuff we've talked about is how sellers can affect change in future on next orders, it's a bit of a slower cash on cash return. I mean, those savings aren't going to show up for at least 3 months, even if you were going to start work today. Getting money back from Amazon is a way that you can affect your bottom line today, and within a few weeks or a few days even, add a few percent back on the bottom line. And for anyone kind of moving towards valuation or anything, every dollar that you add back on that bottom line is another $3 to $5 in your pocket typically. So that's a really powerful kind of stat if you think about it. Can you really walk us through kind of how this works and what it looks like to get money back from Amazon and how Gatida does that?
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, you're hired, by the way. We'll hire you anytime. That was a great pitch. And Dan is absolutely right. So literally on average, every single year, we're returning back to the Amazon FBA seller 1 to 3% of their annual sales. Okay. And we're a performance-based company. Now let's go over this a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna go kind of a quick process through the sign up all the way till the end. And just to give you a quick background, Dan already mentioned it. Gatida's been around for over 8 years. We are the global leader in refunds and reimbursements. It costs nothing to sign up with us. So why does it cost nothing? Because we're performance-based, meaning if we don't get you any money back, it doesn't cost you a dime. So what people do, will go through the sign-up process. They'll do a MWS Connect. They'll give us an authorization to submit these refunds and reimbursements for them. Now, let's go over a couple of scenarios on where you get refunds. One of the issues would be, just give you, for instance, Dan, you ship in 1,000 units to Amazon warehouse, and Amazon turns around and you put in your sellers into your Seller Central dashboard. You shipped in 1,000 units. All of a sudden, Amazon comes back and says 990. Okay. What happens is you have to go audit Amazon to find that discrepancy, to basically show them that you shipped that 990. With us, we do that for you. So we'll submit the paperwork for you. We will give Amazon automatically has a short period of time to try to find those items. If they cannot find those items, they have to refund you back at your sale price, whatever your current sale price is, minus their fees, just like you got a sale on those products. Okay. We handle that for you. It is a long process. Not going to go into it because, man, there's literally a 3-hour video, me, Yoni, and a few others, and Lisa did on really detailed how to do it. Like, if you want to do it yourself, what we do is we make it easy for you. So if we go and we submit that paperwork for you and we get you that money back, whatever that money is, we take a small percentage of whatever that money is back. Now, if our team, we meaning our team, if our team spends 8 hours and we still don't get you that money back, we don't charge you anything. Now, let's talk a little bit about, we have 130 people on staff. Getida is not a small company. We do this and we only do this. We don't do a lot of other stuff. We specifically only do refunds and reimbursements for Amazon FBA sellers. So what that means to you is 80 of those people that are on our staff are submitting via Amazon's terms of service. They are submitting every single day refunds and reimbursements for our clients. So every day we are looking at your account. We audit over $10 billion a day in transactions. So every single day we're checking your account. Doesn't mean your account will have an issue every single day, but like we just said earlier, 1 to 3% of your annual sales. It's automatically built into Amazon, right? They have so many warehouses, so many moving parts. Somebody grabs 2 of one item instead of 1 of one item, right? Or they grab a bag of 10 that they didn't bother to open up and grab 1 out of. I got a bag of 10 one time. I sent 9 back to them and then they refunded me. I was like, okay, well, I just felt bad for the seller, right? So, hey, that is what it is. But the point being, there's other scenarios, right? So if you have issues with, let's say, weights and measurements, we'll help you download all the current weights and measurements. You let us know what the correct weight measurements are. We'll submit that for you and we'll get you a refund back for the last 90 days of sales of incorrect weights and measurements. So if they're shipping at $10, should have been shipping at $5, we'll get you that $5 discrepancy going back for the last 90 days. Another issue you can run into, or I'll just give you another scenario. Amazon ships out your product to a customer through FBA. The customer is not happy with it. For some reason, gets online, gets a refund, gets a label, never ships your product back. You're due a refund. So the scenarios are literally endless, Dan. I mean, being in this for 8 years, we've seen so many scenarios. I'm not going to go into all of them. I'll go into them deeper next week when we're at the event in Austin. Looking forward to that. But just to give you an idea that, what we'll do, let's do this, Dan. Let's give everybody who's brand new, if you've never signed up with Getida. Now, just a caveat to this. If you're a Titan member, I have a special offer for you at Austin. So don't take us up on this offer right now. But if you're not a Titan member, which you should be, to be honest, go over to getida.com/400. I'll give you the first $400 to try us out right now. Now, that's a limited time. I'm going to end that offer on Sunday, this coming Sunday. So if you haven't gone over it to getida.com and signed up, it's free to sign up. There's no long-term commitment, no monthly fees. Again, if we don't get you money, we don't cost you anything. $400 to get started right now and try us out. If after that $400, you're not happy with us, you can leave. Keep the $400 as a gift from the money man. How about that? And then Titan members,
I love that.
Got to be ready. Next week, I got a better deal for you because you're part of Titan. And I've said this once before to you and Athena, and I've said it several times. If I was to start selling, I would be in Titan. That would definitely be the way I would go. But we'll get you involved for sure. I love helping the Titan members. I have friends in there. I love hanging out with them. We have a good time. We talk about a lot of different things, very in-depth. I share a lot of secrets and a lot of things about my past and my selling, things I've learned, things about Getida with Titan members, because we're at a very specific event that we're sponsoring and we're a part of. And Getida is, absolutely loves Titan, and we love working with you guys. But getida.com/400. Again, that's basically 3 days. You got 3 days to go sign up right now. Take advantage of that $400. First time only. You got to be first time sign up. If you're already currently Getida customer, we love you, but you're not going to get advantage of it. And Titan members, wait till next week.
So, Rob, I think the overarching point here is, and the reason we wanted to jump on and do this, just to talk about it, is inflation is a real thing. Costs are increasing. Margin is getting squeezed. Price suppression is real. Advertising costs are increasing. And as business owners, we have to get more assertive in the financial and bottom line management of these brands if you want to be profitable at the end of the day and actually build something with enterprise value that you can maybe exit. And there are different ways of doing that. The obvious savings and the go-to are in your supply chain, in your manufacturing process, in your shipping, in your storage, in your packaging, the way in which you work with factories. If you've got older SKUs that you've had around for a while, get them requoted. Look, go back out to the market, use it as negotiation points. Look for every single dollar that you can save within your supply chain to relieve the pressure. In your advertising, it's time to be pinpoint accurate. Stop spending money on these big bloated discovery campaigns that aren't performing. Know where conversion's coming from and follow the conversion. That's the simplicity of PPC. Follow the conversion. You can coin that. Spend the money towards what's working. But what many sellers aren't aware of is there is actually money on the table that you can go grab from Amazon. And if you've been selling for any amount of time, you've done any amount of volume, and you've never done this, you will likely be pleasantly surprised at the amount of money that you can reclaim through going through Gatida's process, letting them doing the audit on your account. There's lots of different ways in which they do that, and there's loads of different scenarios, as Rob's talked about. And Gatida do a fantastic job when joining us at our member mastermind. So we're in Austin next week for 5 days. We've got a few hundred sellers coming to join us in Austin, and Rob and Yoni and the team will be sharing all this kind of knowledge with sellers on the ground, both in our workshop sessions and also in our networking environments. But if you haven't done this before, go to Gatida.com/400. Rob, the money man, is giving you $400 in free reclaimed cash from Amazon. If you've been selling for any amount of time, then that will show up. And then also, Rob, if people do want to go ahead and grab that profit guide that I just pulled out of the archive, you can go to titaninvite.com/profit. So titaninvite.com/profit. That will give you that profit guide. That's Andrew Erickson, one of our multi-7-figure Titan leaders, has already had a 7-figure exit, has already built a second 7-figure business, and he's an absolute rock star at profit optimization throughout the kind of entire process. And there's lots of really useful tips in there that you can deploy in your business today, including getting money back from Amazon. Because, like I say, managing the bottom line now is critically important. And it's going to be a large part of our conversation next week in how we grow profitably within current market conditions and all the changes that have happened on Amazon and in the market in general. So, Rob, really looking forward to seeing you next week, dude. Appreciate you jumping on. Can't wait to see your cowboy money man outfit. And yeah, I know members that are joining and coming down are going to gain a lot of value from having you and Gatida and Yoni and everyone in the room that's been able to support us in making this happen. So appreciate you guys. And for everyone else, go to Gatida.com/400, grab your $400 free from that reclaimed cash that Gatida can help you get. And if you want that profit guide, it's titaninvite.com/profit. Rob, what are you up to for the weekend, dude?
I have 2 days of golf and then 1 day of rest and then flying out on Tuesday. You know, I was thinking of something real quick, Dan. When we get there, Titan members, when you get there on Tuesday and we're having a little meet and greet, I think what we need to do is get someone to sign up, and then within a day or two, we'll probably already have like an audit for them. We'll talk to Yoni and do a little challenge. Who brand new signs up on that Tuesday, by Thursday, how much does it show in the corner that we can claim for them? And maybe the biggest one will get a prize or something like that. Or maybe they'll get a Money Man cowboy hat or something like that. We'll figure something out fun. So we'll maybe do something a little like that. But
I need to go find one of my older accounts and give you one so I can get
there. You go. You know what? I want to give Dan a little plug too, because if you're not familiar with Titan, and the reason I said if I started selling, I'd be with Titan, even though I have a lot of user experience, it's literally the resources, what Dan's talking about right now. The amount of resources that Titan has is absolutely amazing. They have tons of great resources. They have people there that are keeping you accountable, which for me, sometimes I would get off track, and it's always great to have a mentor or have somebody there to help you or bounce ideas off. So if you're not familiar with Titan, be sure to head over and check out Titan also. If you're interested in selling, or you're already selling and you need some help or need great resources, be sure to check out Titan for sure. Should be titannetwork.com. Yep, there you go. Dan just put it up on the screen. Check them out too. I appreciate you, Dan, and looking forward to seeing you. Hopefully you're having some barbecue in Austin before I get there, and look forward to see you in a couple days.
Sweet, Rob. Appreciate you, dude. And for everyone else, members, all of our Titan members, I'll see you next week. And for everyone else, head over to those links and watch out for another live